Welcome to your community. This is your hometown. This is Walton Entertainment. This is where you can hear from the community and those making a difference. We explore topics, local festivals, arts and entertainment, and local news. For this program and much more, visit us online at yourlocalstream.com. That's yourlocalstream.com.
Good morning. Thank you for watching. I'm Dina Huff, the Executive Director for the Partnership for Families, Children, and Youth. And today I have a guest with me, and she's going to tell you about adventure bags. And this is Misty Manus, and she does a lot of wonderful things around not only Walton County, but around our surrounding counties as well. So Misty, tell us about some of the products you have here and what you all have going on.
Okay, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. So Adventure Bags is a nonprofit organization. We're based out of Barrow County, however we serve the entire state of Georgia. Okay. We're currently in 145 counties across the state, and we partner with over 150 agencies to distribute our bags. We began in 2011 serving foster children. And since 2011, we've served over 40,000 children across the state. Each bag that you see is age and gender appropriate. It comes with comfort items and hygiene items for caretakers to care for a child that's being displaced within the first 24 to 48 hours of displacement. The comfort items consist of stuffed animals, blankets. It comes with a coloring book, crayons. And then the hygiene items is anything that that child would need to care for from head to toe: shampoo, conditioner, soap, toothbrush, toothpaste. We also include a journal for our teenagers because we find that those, they need to write down their thoughts. And then each bag comes with what we call a surprise bag, and it consists of 3 or 4 small toys to kind of keep their minds busy and keep them distracted on the situation at hand. Some of the agencies that we serve are agencies that serve children, like I said, in foster care, children who have been displaced due to a house fire, children who have been forced into domestic violence shelters, and then homelessness. We recently started partnering with substance abuse programs and mental health facilities that serve children, along with school systems, because we found through the pandemic that a lot of our children who would normally fall on hard times, they are falling on hard times. So like I said, we're completely nonprofit. No one gets paid, and we solely run off of donations and volunteers.
Okay. And I know that we were discussing getting you plugged in with some of the folks here a little more in Walton County, and especially the city of Monroe, which has not actually happened yet. Right. So we plan to do that. And I know a lot of times if kids are removed from the home, they leave with nothing.
Absolutely.
So this is actually a blessing for those kids. Are you available to come to events that are put up like for families, like at schools, or for example the farmers market? We have a downtown farmers market, and just set up a display table so folks will know what you are and that you're available for families in Walton.
Absolutely. And with you mentioning that, we are currently hosting, we are currently in the middle of a campaign that we just kicked off in April. It's called Help Us Help Heroes. Okay. So over in Barrow County, we currently partner with all of our first responders, the Sheriff's Department, Police Department, Fire Department. But we don't do that over here in Walton County just yet. So what we've done is we began reaching out to the first responders here in Walton County to see if they would use our bags, and if so, we'll be happy to supply them with them. Again, these bags cost nothing. We give them to the agencies for free. But in return to that, we are reaching out to local churches, asking them to come alongside of us to help our heroes and provide them with these bags. So we've been traveling around visiting various churches in Bexar County. We have visited a couple of churches here in Walton County, and they've actually taken us on as a mission and are supporting us as our heroes. So
that's wonderful. Well, like Misty said, it hasn't happened yet, but it will, because this is free, and why people wouldn't support you is beyond me. But that now that you have, you know, you're welcome here in Walton County, and I know that you have served some children through our DFAC's office as well.
Yes.
Tina appreciates that, because I've heard her say that at a collaborative meeting. I think it's wonderful what you all do. I think it, like I said, a blessing for many families here in Walton County, especially our children, and that is what is important to us here at the partnership. Anything else you'd like to share?
Well, and also, you know, not only do we, you know, stand in need of your prayers and your monetary donations, but volunteerism is huge. You know, it takes a village to put these bags together, so we're always reaching out and accepting civic organizations that want to come in and what we call them a packing party, or you know, students that are looking for community service for whatever, you know, school club that they're in. Or just families. What I love about our organization is our founder firmly believed in teaching children at an early age to have a servant's heart. So when a child comes in and packs a bag, they have the opportunity to leave their handprints on, used to be our wall, but now it's our ceiling tiles, and that signifies that they've made a difference in a child's life.
Great. That is, that's heartwarming.
It is. It is.
So where are you located?
We're located in the Wimberley Center over in Bexar County. It's the old Wanda Bexar Middle School. So you know, we occupy a space there and have it set up as, you know, our executive office and then our procurement area. And so, yeah. Okay,
wonderful. And that's a great center, by the way. If you haven't visited, that would be something to go see for those folks that are viewing. Okay, well, thank you, Misty, and I hope this will open plenty of doors for you here in Walton County, and I'm certainly glad to help with that as well. But thank you again for coming today, and if you have any questions here for us at the partnership, you can always give me a call at 770-207-3175. As always, thank you for watching.
Hi, I'm Jody Johnson. I'm here with the Recreation Report. I'm also here with Charles Jackson, who has been kind of overseeing the operations here at the Splash Park. Charles, I understand we've had a good number of folks that are coming from Walton County.
We've been very busy. We've had over 5,000 people show up at the splash pad so far. We've been only open for less than a month, so we're doing pretty good. It's a lot of hustle and bustle.
Yeah, we're closed on Mondays, so we've had probably 3 or 4 days off. The weekday events from 10 to 6 at night, and about average of how many a day?
We're getting about 200 a day throughout the whole 8 hours, but on the weekends we really pick up.
So how many on the weekends?
We're getting about 400. We're getting about 400. So the kids come out here, and there's a whole lot of kids for them to play with. We've got people running around, getting concession stand, having fun on the splash pad, playing games on the outside. So we're having a lot of fun.
So is it overcrowded sometimes, or is it still people come and they stay for a couple hours and leave? So it's just a...
Usually we're pretty good about people coming for a couple hours and going home. It's not really too big of a wait. We've only had one time in one day where we've been at full capacity. Other than that, we've been, you know, green and open to go.
So it costs $3 a day to come in and splash, and that's for anybody that walks through the gate. So yes, it does include the parents coming in, but you know, I've seen some parents out here having just as much fun as the kids. Is that
some might even say more fun, Joe.
More fun. Okay.
Some might even say
more. It does get hot out here. We do have umbrellas and a couple of pavilions for you to stay out of the sun when you're not out there splashing around. So what would you say is the most exciting? What do the kids look forward to the most?
The Mega Dunk is our biggest feature. It dumps about 200 gallons on you every minute, and it really gets it going.
I do hear all having different games, laying down, getting the water splashed on top of them, so it's a lot of fun for them.
If you're a Monroe Purple Hurricane, this is the hurricane alarm right here.
it dumps the whole hurricane at one time. Well, we're thinking about having one this weekend, so with the rain coming in at the end of the week, we may be closed right at the beginning. So if you're going to come out, this weekend's a great time for you to come see the splash pad. We've got some other things going in. We've got our 18-hole Frisbee golf course within the next week or so. We'll be ready to go out here. Our walking nature trail, jogging trail, we'll let bikes on it, whatever. That is about 95% complete as well. We've got a few finishing touches like some signage and then some entranceway things that you know where the trail is marked. So the dog park's ready to go. Pickleball courts are being bid out as we speak. We've already bid them out once. We weren't real happy with the results, so we'll have those coming back in a couple of weeks. Should take less than a month for them to complete that. So we'll have 4 really nice pickleball courts. Folks can play pickleball. The kids can come splash around. Again, he has the concessions going on with the waters and the Cokes and the ice creams and all those things that people like to have here at the splash park. So again, congratulations on 5,000 people in less than a month. We've had a couple people that have called in and have really said what a great job and how much fun this is. So we look forward to seeing you real soon here at the Ayers Park, which is the splash park, dog park, and all the other elements that we have. So until next time, thank you very much.
Hey Walton County, it's Patrice Broughton, your Public Information Officer, and I am here with another Walton County update. Let's go over the agenda summary for the last board meeting. We had our last board meeting here at the historic Walton County Courthouse on June 1st. It was a long meeting, but we did get through it, and we had several positive things to come out of that meeting. We started with our Planning Commission recommendations, and the board approved for the rezone of 87.85 acres from R1 to R1 OSC for a residential subdivision. And they also approved a conditional use for a guest house on 7.5 acres. They approved a conditional use for a guest house on Jug Road. And also they rezoned 1 acre from A to R1 and 4+ acres from A to A1 for residential use. They also rezoned 1.2 acres from B1 to B3 for a business to park tractor trailers. The board also approved a rezone of 5.7 acres from R1 to A1 for animals. And they did not take action on a rezone of 10.467 acres from A1 to B2 for a small concert hall because it was improperly advertised, and they will take action on that one at the next board meeting on July 6th. So the planning and development, they came before the board for a reconsideration of zoning conditions, and those zoning conditions were approved. And we also had a request to change the name of Mount Ena Church Road to Mount Enon Church Road to actually match the name of the church. And that was approved to begin that process. So we had a presentation from Malvin and Jenkins on our operational assessments, and the board gave the chairman the authority to move forward with all of those recommendations from Walton and Jenkins to kind of streamline our processes in 4 of our bigger departments. We also accepted the first half of an allocation from the American Rescue Plan Act in the amount of $9,186,790.50. So that was approved. And we also had several budget amendments that were adopted, as well as the adoption of our fiscal year 2022 budget. Now, the biggest item on our agenda was the announcement of Chairman Thompson and the Finance Department discovered another $3.5 million in a dormant account. And the $3.5 million had been in a dormant account since August of 2008. The money was paid to Walton County, the Walton County Water Authority from Oconee County for reimbursement from an intergovernmental agreement for the upfront cost of Hard Labor Creek Reservoir. The money identified has been determined to be unrestricted and will be used for operational costs and capital improvements. Chairman Thompson allows himself as a fiscally responsible commissioner and has been instrumental in reconciling the budget and discovering several dormant accounts. Since his installation as chairman, he has identified more than $5,247,564 in dormant accounts. And of this $5.247 million, $1.6 million had been dormant in an account since 2007. And there were also dormant SPOS funds totaling $19,232. And of this, $10,562.28 was distributed to Good Hope, and $8,670.48 was distributed to the City of Jersey for sidewalk projects. Chairman Thompson and the Finance Department hope the identified funds can help offset some of the costs in the operations of the county and to help alleviate some of the strain on the upcoming budget. They wish to continue to be transparent about the county's finances and prove to the taxpayers that the Board of Commissioners remains prudent with taxpayers' dollars. We also want to give a kudos to the Emergency Management Agency. Our Emergency Management Director, Carl Morrow, has been busy, as you know, over this last year and a half with COVID and all of the county's operations, and making sure that the county buildings were properly sanitized and that we were all following proper protocol. Well, a part of his plan was to get any county employee vaccinated that wanted to be vaccinated, and then once he did that, he opened the pod up to all Walton County residents. And we can say that over 1,600 vaccines were administered at Criswell Park. And we want to thank all of the volunteers that came out and helped. Volunteers handled 3 of the 5 positions within the pod, and that included data entry, checking for appointment times, and checking people within the pod. And we want to thank our Walton County CERT team, our Walton County MRC team, and Athens-Clarke County MRC team. Our paid staff handled 2 of the other positions, and that included giving the vaccine and monitoring the observation area for people after they had been given the vaccine. And these all had to be medical personnel, so we want to give a kudos to Walton County Emergency Management Agency, Walton County EMS, Walton County Fire, Monroe Fire, and Loganville Fire. Again, we want to thank everyone that had a hand in operating the closed pod here and the open pod here in Walton County for administering vaccines. And that includes all of the restaurants that donated food, all of the people that donated time. We thank you, and we could not have done it without you. As you know, our splash park is open, and families are enjoying that. We've got some paving going on, and most of our departments are, pushing forward and moving along with all of their operations. And we're just so grateful to be able to serve the citizens of Walton County in any capacity that we can. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to call us at 770-267-1301. You can also find any information you need at waltoncountyga.gov. Again, thank you, and thank you for allowing us to serve you.
Creative artists can offer you a wide range of video production. Call the experts and discuss your project today, whether it's your special event or your company. Creative Artist, 770-267-7368. Creative Artist produces this program you're watching. Call Creative Artist today, 770-267-7368. Creative Artist, they'll put you in the spotlight.
we do the State of the City every year, and for the chamber. And last year it was in November, and generally I would have pulled that out, dusted it off, and kind of use it again. But we're at hyperspeed right now. For the city, one of our struggles is our public works team, our electric and telecom teams, our wastewater treatment, our gas, all that stuff. Those guys have had maybe one project a year for the last 20 years. And then, 2-3 years ago, we started picking up more projects on a very, very regular basis. And right now, the list of projects just goes on and on and on. Debbie and I were talking about the new neighborhoods that are coming online. Well, somebody has to provide water, sewer, utilities to those sites. We have the new public site that's here, and Brian Thompson and his guys have been out there doing electric, telecom, all the stuff, getting them ready. And we have these parks that we're doing, and we're trying to get Wi-Fi to all the parks. So there's a list of things that we're constantly doing and constantly juggling, and we have a staff of about that many. Starting it off, because we're right at the beginning of budget season, we have a $63 million budget, which seems like a lot, and frankly it is, but 13 million of that is for operations of the city. So public safety, we had 25,000 calls last year. And so, and again, electric, telecom, and water, and sewer, and general operations of the town. Things that we fight, things that you've probably read about in the paper, is we've always had crime. Our crime's down 20% since RV became chief 2 years ago. So that's a highlight, but now crime is starting to spill out a little bit. So what was an issue in 2 or 3 corners of Monroe are now starting to spill over, and we have a new group of folks who've moved in who want to see and deserve to see our best foot being put forward. And what happens when that spills over into their neighborhoods, of course, they get upset, and then they can start looking and saying, well, we have major code violations here, and until those things are fixed, these people are still going to be treating our town the way they do. Why don't we have enough police officers? Why are we putting all the money in parks? So what I have said, especially regarding parks, is that if we can't offer physical and social infrastructure, it doesn't matter how many cops we have. We'll never be able to stop enough crime, because we want people to want to come here. We want people to want to be in Monroe. So we're offering the parks, we're offering the sidewalks and trails, we're bringing in new businesses, we're full downtown, you all know, we're expanding downtown. We've been in an expansion down there with new buildings, redoing the gas station for LR Burger, or building Silver Queen. We have a big lot behind the PD right now that is probably, we're on the beginning stages of talking about redevelopment of that lot. So we're probably looking at 5 years before that really comes to fruition. But while we do that, and we have the PD where it is, well, PD's moving, and actually probably started moving this morning. We'll have a new police department at what we call Blaine Station. It was the old Food Line building. And we'll redevelop that whole area as well. So we'll open up the PD that's right downtown. We'll donate that to the Development Authority. The Development Authority will in turn put out a request for proposal, encouraging probably something like a boutique hotel, maybe something on a restaurant on the lower floor. So that gives us another avenue to open some space downtown. So again, before I really start talking about this, do you have any questions that I can answer before?
So the pie in the face, the new park, that came together.
The pie in the face was great. I mean, I guess it was great for them. I had whipped cream up my nose for a few days. We raised a group called Hands of Hope They are looking at doing an all-inclusive playground in the Hammond Park area. That's the goal at the moment. It's an $800,000 park. They raised $4,000. So probably we're years away from that coming to fruition. But I would also guess that the way our parks looked 3 years ago were the same exact parks we had when we were kids. That in 1975, playing tennis at Pilot Park, which is now, the tennis court is now the National Guard Armory. They really didn't have anything. Pilot Club came in and they put in a nice little play area 10 years ago, 15. But other than that, there have been no improvements, no infrastructure improvements through the city or through our park, our total park package. So we're redoing everything. Started with Pilot, and it looks fantastic. It is 95% complete. We put a bathroom in there in the fall. Matthews is next on the list. The pilot project ran about $280,000. Matthews is probably going to run about $350,000. So generally, on our renovated parks, and this would include Hammond, we would probably have $350,000 to $400,000 to put toward bettering that park. So if Hansville came in and said, "We've raised $400,000, maybe we can take the other half." There are a lot of improvements that need to be done at Hammond right now. We have the new park, Reliant River Park. It's 123 acres donated to us right at Christmas. Yes, Christmas came to Monroe. 123 acres for Reliant River Park. It's probably going to be the name, but it was donated by Reliant Homes. And we will put probably $1 to $1.5 million toward that park. And then we have the new downtown green. We purchased that property a little more than 2 years ago. We've had some of our concerts there. We'll do a splash pad, bathrooms, trails, landscaping, and an amphitheater. And I think we also have another fountain going there as well. But that's a $3.2 million project, and that will break ground by November. So we'll see how it goes.
Grant funding for that project?
The city will be a recipient probably of up to $500,000 for grant funding for the downtown green. And the way we're paying for that, we're borrowing from ourselves. We have a municipal competitive trust that has about $17 million in it. It's going to be back funded by SPLOST. SPLOST, we agreed when we came into this last group with the county. We had all the mayors from the various cities in Walton County. We sat down with Kevin Little and set aside 70% of the money that comes in via SPLOST is for transportation projects, whether that's roads, street improvements, sidewalks, that kind of transportation, and then 30% would go to parks. So we're bringing in about $55,000 to $60,000 a month. We have a buildup of about $150,000, so that starts us off going toward that 3.5. And as that over the next 4 years comes in, we'll just pay ourselves back. And then once we pay ourselves back, Nathan Little, who has a tight control over the finances of our utilities, once we've proven to him that we really do what we say and we are going to pay it back, we will allow ourselves to give ourselves another loan for future park expansion. So yes, we're borrowing it. Yes, we're using SPLOST to pay it back, and that's exactly why we did it.
Did I read that you were doing Coker Field too? Something in Coker?
Coker's our long-term. We have a whole lot of different ideas that can be done there. And frankly, we shuttered that right at 3 years ago because it was in such bad shape. And it's just, it hurts my heart that we allowed anything in our town to go downhill so quickly, so much. And when it comes to Dennis Coker Field, I mean, that was named after a fellow who went to high school with our fathers. And instead of leaving it open in an inferior manner, the best thing we could do is just close it. So once we get through Matthews, downtown Green, Reliant River Park, Hammond Park, and of course Pilot being finished, then we can turn our focus toward Coker. And the difference is too that when we grew up, those of us who grew up in Monroe, that's where we played Packer football and we played Little League baseball, and those were on the fields that were county fields. I don't think Coker was a city park at the time. I think it was a county park. We played baseball also at Airport Field, which is now apartments. I think Harry Arnold owned that field. George Baker owned the Cherry Hill fields, leased them back to the county for $1 a year. The tough part about that, if you were sliding to catch a baseball, you were coming up with rocks and glass in your knees, and that was just not the nicest field. So when Jody and Brad took over the county parks, the competitive sports parks became top-notch, first class. They just ignored the parks that weren't ready to be on a competitive level for athletics, and then they became what they are. So I don't know that when we open Coker, you'll notice it is the same park that it's always been. Any others?
How do you expect the speed calming to come down? We were talking about that while in Pinecrest.
The speed controls?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you all been down Church Street since we put in the traffic calming?
Not anymore.
I quit going down. We all everybody quit going down.
I go down it every day.
Okay.
I don't have to veer left or right. I go speed limit and go right through.
I get so nervous, like my car could most definitely fit through there. But I get nervous like that I'm gonna hit the curb and it's just easier for me to just go around.
Okay. Good news. You're all going somewhere else. That's what we kind of planned. Well, no, and I'm serious, because when that was Highway 83, it was our street to lead us to Good Hope and Madison. Well, when we put in Unicia Drive, that officially became 83, and Church Street officially became a neighborhood street. So traffic on Church has been cut by 40%, and speeds have been reduced on Church by about 8.5 miles an hour. So traffic's more sparse and it's going more slowly, and that, you don't like it, I get it, but it was the goal, so it worked. We are putting, and it's funny, folks are either very, very pro traffic calming or very, very anti. Completely understand. Speed bumps, we won't do anymore. Speed bumps are the ones on Highland that are literally bumps. You may or may not slow down, but if you do slow down, especially if you're a good old redneck boy, you slow down in your pickup truck, you get over it, and then you floor it really loud and really fast. So you found out that it didn't do anything to alter speeds. It made people angry. And when a speed bump is next to Betty Hearn's house and Nan Mulkey's house, and they're hearing the revving of the engines and the ka-choom, ka-choom, for those who don't stop, it's just very frustrating altogether. So our engineers, Keckenwood, have come up with this speed islands. One thing, we had to use that on Church. We couldn't use speed tables because of the type of road and the amount of traffic. Davis Street, we did use speed tables. Those are 9 feet wide, 3 up, 3 across, and 3 down. That's probably most palatable for folks. I don't know that we can use those on Pinecrest. So we're looking at another option there. I know Highland is excited about speed tables there. I know I've had half the folks on Church Street, on Pinecrest say, we want exactly what Church Street had. And I had half of them go, if you put those on Pinecrest, I'm going to kill you. So I don't know exactly what route we're going to take there, but we'll constantly be working.
Why don't y'all just get the ticket people going in 35?
Well, that's a good question. We don't have enough officers. And similar, you know, we did the speed zone in schools where we had over 3,500 violators in a 24-hour period. Well, you might be able to stop a few, but you're just not going to stop them.
Well, how much did those islands cost?
What's that?
How much did those islands
Those
cost?
speed islands cost on Church, I think they ran about $80,000.
For each one, or?
No, I think we did 8 of them. Maybe 9. That may have been $10,000 a piece. So, and that's also a difference in capital cost in maintenance. You know.
How about more
Take
cameras?
more policemen for a year.
Ticketing people with the cameras.
For 1 year.
We're going to do that in school zones.
Yeah, right.
But, you know, that's just a bad. To ticket folks with cameras. Okay, so what happens when you get 4 tickets in a month? Because, you know, if you're going through at 11 or 12 or 13 miles an hour, yeah, I mean, you learn a lesson. But what we've done with the speed cameras in school zones, it has to be approved by the city, which was the first step. It has to be approved by the school board, which is the second step, and then third step will be by the DOT. The reason we've gone that route, I had an employee, a city employee, about 6 weeks ago got stopped in Loganville in a school zone, and her ticket was $850. Our fines will be $75 because if you're a kid who's late for school and you come speeding in on 2 wheels and your father gets an $800 ticket, you know, what kids are going to pay that? And most kids aren't working, they're doing whatever they're doing, and they can never afford that. So the parents get punished for it. So this way, if you get a $75 ticket, well, guess what? That's coming out of your allowance, your whatever you wanted, you're not going to get it anymore. So it's a good way to teach a lesson to the kids without really penalizing their parents. Number one. And number two, if you get on one of those, you're going to be extra cautious in our school zones, which is what we're hoping for. The recidivism rate for speeding in school zones with this program that we put in is like 8%. So it really works. Theoretically, we'll have the first year, or maybe the first 6 months, we'll send out love notes. You know, hey, you were going this fast, this will be your fine were you to get caught again. So folks will be able to act accordingly. Now, after those 6 months, the thought is folks are still going to do it, they're going to get caught. But about 6 months after that, really we shouldn't have much of any speeding or any income based from speeding at all. So it's not an income issue, it is 100% a school safety issue.
So I feel like that's a good segue into all the foot traffic now in the city, and especially for us, like with the storefront, like and all the pedestrians recently being hit by vehicles. Some their fault, some the vehicles' fault. Like, so what is the city's plan to help maintain the safety, especially when we have the entertainment district now too? So
right. It's funny you said that, and I have a question for you. The pedestrians that have been hit in the last, I'm going to say month, maybe 3 weeks, maybe 6. We've had the 2 that were hit between Southern Brewing and the courthouse on Spring. And we had, I think one.
There's one behind us at the intersection there.
I was at that
we
when that happened. And I don't know, I can't speak to that one, but the other one was at Walmart crossing Spring. I've always been scared to death of Broad Street. I mean, ever since before we had a lot of traffic, you know, and then scoops came in and, you know, kids pulling away from parents and wanting to ride. We stay up at night worrying about that. The truck route should take the fast trucks out of the city, and that construction starts in 13 months. Not that I'm counting. Actually, it's probably 12 months and 21 days. So So once we get those out, are people still going to speed? Absolutely. I just don't know. I don't. Do you have any ideas? Because our downtown, we were ranked #1 downtown in the state 2 years ago. We were Georgia Exception on Main Street that we were awarded last month. I mean,
I just
it is
people
great.
ignore the crosswalks, and I mean, and I do because I'm a very frequent user of the one right there behind the police department.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of times where we cross to go over to the store. And I can't tell you how many times we've been standing there with police officers, standing there with us talking, and people will not stop and run right through it. And even they were like, yeah, make sure you're looking because people don't stop here. And I'm like, well, my thing is, well, why are you even giving them my ticket? Like, but they don't stop. And even sometimes on Broad Street, like you really have to look and make sure
you have to make eye contact
in front of
with
the Walton Tribune, like I mean, because people they're not seeing the stop signs or the crosswalk or.
Have you seen the little flags they have in Madison?
Oh yeah. That really might be a good. That might be a good spot there.
There are a few on Prince Avenue in Athens. They're very hideous.
Well,
and so that's something you don't want to. You don't want to take away from your downtown.
The bright orange flag.
You actually pick up a flag and carry it across if you choose to. But when you get to the crosswalk, there's more caution lights than you know what to do with, and it is a blaze of light, even during the middle of the day.
Well,
now again, it detracts from the beauty of your downtown, but
it's a safety issue. Right, but it's a safety issue.
It is a safety issue.
And we're constantly looking at stuff. You know, we've had 73 wrecks at Michael Etchison and Spring Street, or not Spring, okay, 138. 73 wrecks in the last 64 weeks.
And it doesn't work out.
Well, and again, you know, also you have those folks who are trying to build speed on that last second way to merge. Once you get through that light, folks don't understand the yellow flashing turn signal either. So there are a lot of issues. DOT's working on that now. Okay, but I'll quickly go through this. Sometimes I have 20 pages, and sometimes I just write stuff, and it may flow and might not. And if it doesn't, I'm still trying. We call Monroe right now the good, the bad, and the opportunities. One of the cool things about being in Monroe right now in my position is a lot of good things are happening and they have nothing to do with the city. And really, if you think about it, our school system was just ranked one of the tops in the nation for Walton County schools last month. Well, that's great. You know, I told Gary Hobbs, he didn't like this comparison. I told him he's like Steve Spurrier, and that Nathan Franklin is like Urban Meyer. You know, University of Florida had never won anything, anytime, ever, anytime. And then Spurrier came in and we started winning. So that was Gary Hobbs. He came in and he made our school system great. Folks are attracted here because of good schools. And then, of course, Nathan Franklin came in and put it on steroids, and our schools are just better than they've ever been. The AP program at Monroe area is the top AP program in the county, including LCA, George Walton, Walton Grove, Louisville High School. I mean, it is the best. Our hospital, when Piedmont Walton bought it, it was a failing hospital just 4 years ago, and now they've been listed as one of the top 10 in the state. So again, folks move places because of health care, and they move places because of good schools. The part we've had hand in is bringing in additional shopping and additional physical infrastructure. So that goes back to our rebuilding sewers and repaving roads and bringing in Publix and getting that site ready. So that's kind of the big threes: healthcare, schools, and then the government side of things that is helping encourage people to want to stay here. Another thing that's real interesting is we have such a strong arts community, and I mentioned Betty Hearn earlier. She's on that board along with DC Miller, along with Nan. Our Walton County Center for the Arts has about 500 classes a year. and they're 100% full. I mean, they're constantly doing something, whether it's the Saturday soiree or whether it's hosting a tea for star students. They have a ton going on, and to have a strong arts community, I mean, it's the cornerstone of a successful society. It's kind of nice that we have it right in our downtown. And I might have told you last time I spoke that my dream, obviously very long term for Monroe, is to have a municipal arts complex. I would love to sell the museum, sell the arts center, sell on stage. We are selling our community center, that's Rita's Monroe Country Day School. To sell all those and build a municipal arts complex similar to the Civic Center in Oconee County, and put that somewhere, whether it's near 78 at Broad, whether it's toward the end of spring, closer to 78 on that side, to house all of those and then manage it either by the chamber or by the DDA, somebody that would be able to work for the long-term betterment of all of those organizations in Monroe. On Stage really needs a better place to read their plays. It would be a perfect fit for the Scouts to move into that On Stage building right next to the park. We're looking at trying to find a way to move the National Guard out of their spot. And we have a place out in the county for them, but we're working with the military to approve that move too. If you go down once a month to the National Guard Armory, there are cars everywhere. And when they're competing now with people who actually want to play in Pilot Park, they're probably, I would guess there are 25 people there right now. And a play's going on, there's just not enough places to park. So, we'll constantly have logistics headaches until we can get rid of some buildings and add one that's nicer, more efficient, saves us money in utilities, and just is better suited to benefit everybody in town. We were talking earlier about crime issues, and crime is down 20%, but the three issues we have with that. One is the number of police. That this happened 2 years ago, and that this officer's no longer with us. He was in an active shooting situation. We had 32 cops on the street, day in, day out, night in, night out. We bumped that up. I think we have about 38 to 40 on the street now. But he'd been in an active shooting situation where pretty tense. And instead of saying, go home, you're done for the day, he had to go back out on patrol. So, gets in his car from one active shooter situation, and there's another one that comes up. And he rushes to the scene, and it was another active shooter situation. And he shot his gun up in the air and told people to go in and did things totally inappropriately, that not acceptable. But you start thinking, this guy was right up here at stressed out peak, and then they called him to go to this other active shooter situation, and we just don't have enough police officers for that. And RB will tell you, he would like to hire 6 right now. We told him, we can only afford 2. We hope to afford 2 again by the end of the year. We want to build up our police force, but you also look at it and who wants to be a cop in today's environment? We are very lucky in Monroe, and I think this leads to the fact that we're a very conservative community by nature. We appreciate the police officers, but nationwide they're not appreciated. And frankly, in Atlanta, they get fired before they have any kind of due process. So who wants to deal with that? So that's one thing. The other thing is they're only paid $38,000 to start. So our job is to keep as many as we can, keep them as happy as we can, and they run a really tight ship. It's a good group of men and women over there. But then the 2 other legs to our crime, one is code enforcement, which is a struggle. Again, the people who make the rules are the people who have the money, who people that own the homes and frankly slums. That if we drive by and we see a code violation, a busted window in the front of a house, for instance, you get written up and fix it. And if you don't, you have to go through steps before you can finally get into the courts and they can fine you or make you fix it or do whatever the court tells you. But if a person moves into a home that we can't tell from the street that they have code issues, and a person walks in the front door and sticks a leg right through the floor because of rotten wood, we don't know that unless we're told. So our code is not allowed to go inside unless requested. And we're at the point where we have a full, folks have no options. If you want to go somewhere to rent, you're not doing it in Monroe. So a person gets a home in Monroe to rent, steps through the floor because it's rotten, calls us and says, hey, come look. And we say, okay, you have to be out by such and such. Well, do you think any of the 3 or 4 big property owners in Monroe is going to turn around and find another spot for you to rent? No, they're not. You just cause them a headache. So code enforcement is difficult in the first place, but really doing what needs to be done to build up the quality of older housing is going to be a challenge for a long time. But what happens is you get particular neighborhoods, and I'll just say New Lacey Street, for instance. Lots of homes owned by less than a handful of people. Well, the people who are going to live in those conditions can't afford to go anywhere else. I mean, you're talking $400, $500 a month, which I hear now is more like $700, $800 a month. And when people congregate there without jobs, probably not the most academic achievement for a group of people. That is one of the areas where our police officers spend a lot of time. It's a higher crime level. So if you don't have code enforcement and you have slumlords who aren't treating your city the way it needs to be treated, we're going to have problems there. And do the police officers want to go spend a lot of time there? No. Yes, sir.
Let me ask a question to that. So why can't the city do the same thing a phone company does? If a resident buys a phone line, charge $10 a month, but if a business buys it, they're charged 3 times that. Why can't you have a tax rated X if you live and own in that home? You raise the tax if it's a rental.
That's illegal.
How's it illegal?
No, I completely agree. Look, here's the thing. And when I was elected mayor, when Greg was elected mayor, Wayne, Knox, any of these folks, we all came in with the idea of, we're going to fix this. And I realized, as they all did too, that they were not elected dictator. I mean, I'm sorry, you can't go into somebody's house and make them fix it, especially if you don't know.
Sean, there used to be I haven't handled any rentals in Monroe in a long time, but there used to be, when you went to get your power cut on, they would come out and inspect.
Right, can't. It's illegal. Bye, Jocelyn. Because that's what we want to do. We want to hire that person again, but that's actually caught up in courts right now.
To make sure it was safe before they turn the power on. I don't see.
Call your state legislator and see what he says.
Welcome to the real world.
That used to be.
So anyway, one of the things that to me, back to being mayor, coming in and learning, because this is on the job learning, it just always has been, learning what we do, what's most important. Brian Thompson, you probably all know, he's our electric and telecom guy. That's the flashy part of the business. Because getting power to our homes and businesses is the absolute necessity. Rodney Millbrooks is water, gas, and sewer. And I tell him, you know, Rodney's not the flashy one. People die if Rodney messes up. So our water and sewer team is just out of this world. Not a lot of flash there. Brian's the one in charge of getting Fiber to homes, that project is underway to every home in town. Probably the first 2 neighborhoods will be complete within the next month. And then we'll move on. You know, we're stuck in the same supply chain rut as anybody else. We have Pollock subdivision all ready to go, but we can't get the boxes where we can hook everything up. So we're on wait for that. As I went to my first MEAG meeting, and Greg Thompson is our member of the MEAG board there. He's in his 3rd term. Learned what it takes to power this city. And we're 70.2% non-carbon emitting power. We have Southeast Power Authority as our hydroelectric contract. That does about 6% of our power. We are probably about 50% nuclear with Plant Vogel and Plant Hatch. We do have some coal in our portfolio, and we have a natural gas mixed-use cycle at Wansley. We were looking at totally doing away with one of our coal plants. And then 3 months ago, when the storms hit Texas and everything iced over, we were selling power to them from our coal operation. So we'll keep that open at least for the foreseeable future. Completed projects. This goes back to the very first thing I said, which was our guys used to have 1 project a year, and that was that. Last year, projects that we completed, we did a total sewer rebuild and repaving of Madison. We finished up our beautification projects with the sidewalk and lighting on Spring and Broad. We totally repaved the runway, did striping. Charlie, we're looking good. New hangars have been added. Pilot Park is complete with play areas and shade structures. The new police department, they're moving in today. Underway, looks like we'll have 10% of our city roads repaved this year. Underground utilities, the sewer rebuild and repaving of Wayne Street. The commercial airport hangar is underway. Over the last 2 weeks, we've blown 25,000 feet of fiber, so we're running about 11,000 to 12,000 feet a week, usually. So, as we're at the mercy of supply chains, as soon as those boxes come in, we'll hook up probably 250 families at a time. Matthews Park rebuild is underway. We're redesigning the utility infrastructure on North and South Madison, replace electric and telecom, and place it all underground in and around the new downtown green, which is really going to be something that will make us all proud. Now, I'm 51 years old. I have kids who are 20 and 22. And when I ran for mayor, no offense to any of us who are our age, but Johnny and Jocelyn, we're doing all this work for you. Because a lot of the stuff that we'll be doing, we really won't see our enjoyment, really, maybe in our lifetimes even. We're putting Monroe in the enviable position that we will have attractive parks, efficient transportation, safe transportation in and around and hopefully out of town. So we'll draw people here and hopefully they won't stay. Moving to our events, and I know you'll have quite a few other things probably to discuss before we head out, but moving to our events, we had 14,000 visitors at our car show. Both concerts that we've had so far in May and June, we've had over 6,000 people at each one. I'm guessing we had more like 7,500 at the June show. There were people everywhere, and we're bringing in food trucks, and we're bringing in the wine wagon, we're bringing in scoops and Mookie Moos. They were all out of food. So it's really been a lot of fun to not have to leave our town when we want to enjoy ourselves.